Nigeria Anti-Corruption Police, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC has declared 8 persons wanted in connection with the 1.3 trillion Naira's fraud committed by an online cryptocurrency platform, Crypto Bridge Exchange, CBEX, allegedly an unregistered financial trading company in Nigeria, but, according to EFCC, a registered company, ST Technologies International Limited promoted or aided the suspected criminal trading platform. This occurred after the Nigeria Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, in a statement on April 17, 2025, gave public assurance to prosecute the promoters of the suspected fraudulent trading platform, and the statement from SEC indicated probably that there is porousness in the Nigeria intelligence system, signaling that the Nigeria intelligence assets like the media, State Security Services, SS, Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA, National Intelligence Agency, NIA, Nigeria Financial Intelligency Unit, NFIU of Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Force Intelligence Department, FID of the Nigeria Police Force, NPF among others are apparently too weak in protecting the West Africa sovereignty against financial invasion and terrorism, despite the huge billions of Naira of taxpayers' monies spent yearly by the Presidency through the Office of the National Security Advisor, NSA and CBN on the aforementioned intelligence assets. The state assets failed to be alive their societal responsibilities, and a criminal organization invaded the Nigeria media space, openly advertised its criminal activities for long and successfully stole, evacuated and converted trillions of Nigeria currency to foreign currency or currencies, causing huge pressure and devaluation of the Naira, and thus, making costs of living go higher. With no Nigeria intelligence asset including the press being able to proactively track and forestall the act of national terrorism committed against the Nigeria state. Among those declared wanted on Friday by EFCC includes Adefawara Olanapakan, Adefawara Olawanashola, Emmanuel Ako, and Sheyi Olayede, and others named by EFCC as alleged foreign accomplices include Johnson Okero Otieno, Israel Mbaluka, Joseph Mikero Kabara and Sarah Mikero. SEC had stated that the attention of the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Commission, has been drawn to recent media reports, publications on the activities of CBEX, Crypto Bridge Exchange. CBEX, which also operates under the corporate identity of ST Technologies International Limited, Smart Treasure, Super Technology, has held itself out as a digital asset trading platform, offering high returns to investors in Nigeria. The Commission hereby clarifies that neither CBEX nor its affiliates were granted registration by the Commission at any time to operate as a digital assets exchange, solicit investments from the public or perform any other function within the Nigerian capital market. Preliminary investigations carried out by the Commission have revealed that CBEX engaged in promotional activities to create a false perception of legitimacy, in order to entice while President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine was on mid-air to South Africa on Wednesday, President Vladimir Putin-led Russia engaged the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv, like never before since the full-scale war began on February 24, 2022, with disastrous murderous rainy air bombardments, causing 10 deaths and over 80 people injured, with military intelligence suggesting that President Vladimir Putin may have launched the massive attacks on the Ukrainian capital as a calculated distraction to President Volodymyr Zelensky over his visit to South Africa, where Zelensky had planned to meet with representatives of civil, political and student communities from different Africa countries, a continent, it appears, Russia has built tighter relations with in recent years in the struggle for geopolitical supremacy against its rivals in the world powers like the US and France, which, Africa countries like Senegal, Chad, Mali, Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, Niger, had cut military ties with France and expelled its troops. And some of the Africa countries like Chad and Niger have also expelled US troops and cut military ties with the White House, and they all, including South Africa, have moved closer to Russia. But since June 2023, when South Africa President Cyril Ramaphosa led an African leaders' peace mission to Ukraine and Russia, where they both met with Zelensky and Putin, after the failed peace initiative, Ukraine has stepped up its relations in the Africa continent by sharing technological and military experience with African nations, donating grains, opening additional embassies in the Africa continent with Ivory Coast and Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC already established out of the 10 new embassies pledged in 2023. Which President Volodymyr Zelensky said in December 2023 that one of Ukraine's foreign policy priorities for 2024 is continuing to develop ties with African countries, as Moscow seeks to expand its influence on the continent. Zelensky, shortly after arriving in South Africa early morning on Thursday night, said he will cut short his visit in South Africa and return home due to the Russia air bombardments from Wednesday night till Thursday morning in Kyiv. Zelensky still held a planned meeting with the South African President, Cyril Ramaphosa, at the government's union buildings in Pretoria. Shortly after arriving in South Africa, Zelensky tweeted on his X social media handle that, "We are preparing for important meetings in South Africa with President Cyril Ramaphosa and representatives of political, civil, and student communities of African countries." Condemning Russia attacks on Kyiv, Zelensky said, "It is an honor for me to be in the Republic of South Africa today on my first visit. This morning, our country endured another Russian attack, a massive one, with over 200 aerial threats, missiles, including ballistic ones, and attack drones. Unfortunately, there have been destructions and losses in our capital and other cities. Over 80 people have been wounded in these strikes. Tragically, there are fatalities. In Kyiv, among those killed were a brother and sister. The young man was 21, and the young woman was 19. My condolences to all those who have lost their lives." Niger State Governor, Mohamed Umaru Bago, has reversed self over arresting anyone with dreadlocks, a matching order he gave on Tuesday at stakeholders' security meeting in the state to security operatives in the state, which is one of the states in Nigeria most troubled by bandits and terrorists, clarifying that the arrest order is only meant for a particular group of people suspected to be a member of a particular secret cult group that carries dreadlocks as a symbol of identification. This, a well-known social media influencer, Martins Vincent Otts aka Very Darkman, had condemned the action of the governor, saying that, if the governor considered dreadlocks as a sign of insecurity, it therefore means the governor should be the first to be arrested for carrying a monster beards. Very Darkman, in a swift reaction to the governor's order on Tuesday, said, "Most criminals like Boko Haram terrorists often dressed responsibly and they are hardly seen putting on dreadlocks hairstyles." Adding that the governor should focus on providing jobs for the thousands of unemployed youths in the state, which he said is the major cause of insecurity, hence, urging the governor to avoid the misleading narratives of trying to tie insecurity to hairstyles. According to Very Darkman, the kind of misleading narratives and actions taken by the Niger State Governor, Mohamed Umaru Bago, may be the reason why the insecurity in Nigeria probably has continued to be on the high side, because the criminals do take advantage of the inability of the government to know the true modus operandi, and thus, the government's always chased after irrelevant issues and meaningless issues of concern, while the terrorists and other criminals behaved in a more responsible ways to continue to terrorize the country. Governor Mohamed Umaru Bago had on Tuesday said, "From today henceforth, anybody you find with dreadlock in Niger State, arrests him, barb his hair and fine him. Parents should warn their children. From this moment, it's 100% fire for fire. Demolish houses harboring criminals. Also, any house found harboring criminals should be demolished. Niger State is not for useless people," the governor had initially stated. On Wednesday, the governor, in another meeting with federal government officials in Niger State, reversed himself and stated that, "Yesterday, we read a riot act on hooliganism, and people misconstrued our words for people who have dreadlocks. We don't have a problem with dreadlocks, but we have a problem with the cult here with dreadlocks. So, if you have dreadlocks and you have business, please come to Niger State. All that is media propaganda. We are only driving the cult that is becoming a menace in Niger State. Thank you." Meanwhile, the governor at the security meeting on Tuesday, banned the use of tricycle and motorcycle from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the state capital, Minna. Details of the ban on the commercial vehicles as contained in the news release made available by Balogi Ibrahim, the chief press secretary to the governor of Niger State, reads verbatim below. Niger State government has suspended movement of commercial motorcycle and tricycle riders from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in Minna, the state capital. Former Governor Umaru Bago made this public at a critical stakeholders security meeting held at the
bringing you the news in a more digital way.